Hi, today I would like to share with you what I consider as the best experience I made professionally. Of course, like most of you, probably all of you, I went through long studies. I went to primary school, through secondary school, university, first degree, then master's degree, then PhD, and I started my lecturing career when I was 23 at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And at the time, all I had to adjust to, I assumed, was the accent, the Nigerian accent of English. So I had to learn Nigerian English because, of course, the English I knew was the Queen's English, the one I studied throughout. So I thought that I knew just a bit. I started lecturing and I found out that I was having some difficulties. For example, I was teaching a course in first year university in undergrads, and it was a culture course, French culture, civilization. And after some 1 or 2 weeks, one of the students came and said he was just the voice of the class, that if I continue using the high French that I was using, they would drop out. They would stop attending my class. I knew that that class was compulsory, so it didn't touch me in the least. I didn't even consider what was the problem could be. Of course, it was that they were not used to that level of French, but I didn't know that. I didn't even care to think. I was too young. So I said, well, you just go. That's it. So they left. And of course, after 1 week, they came back because there was no alternative. And it took 10 years before I succeeded in moving that class to the second year. But in between, of course, I found out that it was not just that easy to lecture, that there was more to it than diplomas and certificates, and that experience was needed. But it took me quite a number of years before I found out the secret. One day, I was teaching a course on 16th and 17th century literature, French literature. And one of the students used to fall asleep. Immediately I started my lecture, he would fall asleep. So the others tried to nudge him, push him, do all kinds of things. I would do the same to him, move out of my seat and then, or my standing, and then try to wake him up until I really got fed up. And then I did what I should have done in the first instance. Before the class, I went to my office, closed the door, and said, now, God, you know I belong to you. That student cannot continue sleeping in my class because he needs to succeed. I've been praying during exams that all my students would pass, and they did. But that one was really something I knew I couldn't do anything about. So I really asked for God's help. And then I went to class. And something fantastic happened. That guy stopped sleeping and started listening. And I said, wow. That was the first of a myriad of experiences. I started committing to the Lord all my teaching, all my research. I prayed before I read. I prayed before I wrote. And then I started finding out something else. At the time, I belonged to a newly arrived Pentecostal church in town. And we had shifts like nursing staff attending to people that were distraught and came for help. So it was like a kind of hospital. And I spent a lot of hours there. And I told God, well, I spend a lot of hours there. I need to still succeed in my career because that's where you sent me first. So help me. And I found out that I started writing articles in half the time that colleagues were using to write their own. And I knew it was not my brain. So it was another discovery. And that one, it was a lasting one. I've been doing that all through my career, and I continue writing. And now I'm older and I see lots of pupils, getting old, but I see a lot of colleagues passing on. And I think, well, I'm still there. And until God takes me, I'll continue honoring Him in publishing, in researching. And I need to ask for help every time for Him. And it's not colleagues. Colleagues can help, we can exchange ideas, but it goes so far, not beyond. So I want to encourage you. Some of you said, oh, wow, how do you do it? I'm not a genius, but I trust God. I trust the Lord and the God of Jesus Christ. So you are invited to follow that kind of line. And I'm sure you will never regret, one. Secondly, you will find out that there is a boost, an incredible jump in your publications. And the joy of sharing with others all that you have discovered. It's like bulb ideas just dropping in your spirit, or even in translation, and you're looking for a word, and then before ever you reach out to the dictionary in paper or online, boom, the word comes. And that is something that is so wonderful, to know that there's somebody just behind your shoulders telling you, this way, that way, this is the way, follow it. All right, see you.